Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Aging in Action. And we're really excited to introduce our special guest today for our episode. Everyone, please welcome Wendy Smith, and she is the Executive Lead, Transformation and Strategy with the Nipissing Wellness Ontario Health Team. Welcome, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Thank you for having me. I will, Wendy.
I know we're all really excited to talk to you because we've heard, this term OHT, Ontario Health Team, kind of across Ontario in the last year and a half. And so we're really excited to kind of dive in and talk about the local OHT today and hopefully where they see themselves in the future. And I know you have a lot of healthcare experience. So I was taking a look at your bio. You've been a physiotherapist with 20 years experience. Not only are you currently the lead with the OHT, you also are completing your Master's of Health Management at McMaster University. So you're busy.
I'm busy. Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And I know you also have on here that you're an advocate for access to care and support collaborative efforts, which I think you're kind of a perfect fit for the role that you're providing for the OHT. So do you kind of want to introduce yourself a little bit more to our viewers and our hosts so we know who we're speaking with today?
Well, certainly that's a wonderful opportunity I have today. So thank you very much to all of you for extending the invitation for me to join this conversation today. As Nikki said, I am a physiotherapist and practiced clinically in Northern Ontario here for over 20 years, most of that in community as a home care physiotherapist. And I also owned my own outpatient practice. So I was very much engaged in the community. And as you know, with small regions of the province, like we are in the north, often we are not an expert at any one thing, but we're asked to be an expert in many things. So I did long-term care, children's health, school health. I did everything. Anything and everything. So lots of experience on the ground, and really as part of that, really got to see some of the gaps and holes that exist in our system, and a lot of the challenges that are faced by people in the community when they look to try to access care. So as I sort of evolved in my career, I got interested in trying to become a bigger part of the system and how the system can be improved to help our population really truly be well. And so my first opportunity to do that was through the Ontario Physiotherapy Association. So I was elected to the board of directors, and I spent 6 years with the board. And that was a fantastic opportunity for me to learn a lot about what goes on behind the scenes, how decisions are made, how policies are made. And so that really drove my interest into leaving the clinical world and to start to try to look at being involved more at an organizational or leadership level. And so luckily I was able to find this team in Nipissing, and I'm very happy to be a part of the group. They're a wonderful, very active group in Nipissing. So
and I've had the pleasure of being able to sit on different committees with you, working groups with you, and really start to see some thoughts, some strategies, and some things happening as we start to move forward. And just for our audience, if you can kind of touch a little bit on Nipissing Wellness's maybe vision of where they see the OHT providing, system change, or what is the vision of the OHT?
Yeah. Great. So the Nipissing Wellness OHT is one of the first of the Ontario health teams that was actually approved by the ministry. And there actually is only 2 in Northeastern Ontario. So there's ourselves in Nipissing, and there's also a team approved at the same time in Algoma. So our team, when they started out, and I've only been a part of this team now since July the 1st. So prior to my joining the team, the group in Nipissing came up with a vision. And their vision is that they want to create a future where there's unified, caring health and social services that are wrapped around or centered around the people, their caregivers, and their families. So that's the vision that we have.
Yeah, that's a beautiful vision. to kind of take a starting point to create that system change.
Mhm.
I know you also organized kind of a community information session a couple months ago. And so I know some of our audience may be watching and they may be, well, how can I get involved more with the OHT? I mean, is there an opportunity to volunteer? Is there an opportunity to connect? Can you tell us a little bit about where somebody could go to get more information, connect, volunteer?
Excellent question. And we're always looking, certainly always looking for interested members of the community to join us, because as the vision states, we are looking to be very much person-centric and very much we really need to understand what the people in Nipissing need from health and social services. So we're doing two things at the moment. We're really trying to promote our website, which is going to be the main access point for people in the community to understand what's going on with our Ontario Health team and where there are opportunities for them to become involved. So that would be the main opportunity people have. We're also, just as of December, we've launched a social media campaign. So we do have a presence now on Facebook, as well as on LinkedIn, if any of the community are on LinkedIn. And those will be sources for up-to-date information. And then we also have a patient, family, and caregiver council. So this group is a group of volunteers from the community who are interested in essentially, I'm going to call it nuts and bolts of what's going on and how we're looking to try to co-design a system that is improved and more centered around the families and the patients. So that group is currently a group of 8. We have an opportunity. In our organizational structure, we've set aside 10 spots for community members to be part. So we do actually have an active outreach going on to try to have more people join that group. So if there's interest, they can go to the website and click on the Patient Family Council link, and they'll be able to submit their interest there.
Awesome. That's good to know for sure.
What is the website address? Do you know it offhand, Wendy?
I do. It's Nipissing Wellness, all one word, .ca.
Okay, great.
Wendy, you had mentioned that we have the Algoma and then the Nipissing. What is your geographical location for the Nipissing Wellness for any of our viewers or listeners?
Yeah, excellent question. So the boundaries of these OHTs are really not written in stone. They're really looking at patient movement and how do we pull together organizations that really innately serve a group of the population. So when we look at movement of patients across Nipissing, really our OHT is focused on those that live in West Nipissing. So as far west as Sturgeon Falls. We're not going north really to any degree because the Temiskaming group also has a fairly they have their own organizational structure, they have their own hospital, et cetera. So there's not a lot of movement from the north into North Bay. A lot of those patients are served north. So we have the city proper, and we are east to Mattawa. Sorry, and then south, I forgot about the Highway 11. So down Highway 11 corridor at the present time, we include down to Powassan. But we are in conversations with some of the communities, the municipalities in Almaguin, to see if they would like to join Nipissing or if they're going to be more in partnership with the Muskoka OHT.
Thanks. Now, do you know how long this OHT has been formed for? I know you mentioned Algoma and Nipissing are the first two official OHTs. I think that was the terminology you used. How long has this been in existence for, that the OHT's been, in the Nipissing area?
Yeah, so the Nipissing Ontario Health Team was approved in 2019. So I believe it was towards the end of that year. And unfortunately, very much coincided then with the onset of our COVID pandemic in the spring of 2020. So the work related to moving some of the initiatives forward has obviously been a little less progressive than we maybe would have liked, just because the system is, as we all know, been going through many layers of turmoil over the last few years. But we did officially get launched in late 2019.
Okay, that's good to know. I thought I interrupted somebody when I asked my question, so.
So good.
Wendy, I was asking you before we started, you're the executive lead for transformation and strategy. What does transformation, so that's that whole idea of changing the way people are interacting with the healthcare systems?
It's more about changing the way the system interacts to be able to better serve our population. So to date, the system is very much focused on sectors. So we have our acute care sector, our long-term care sector, our community sector. And so there's challenges for patients to try to transition, as you know, between all of those different systems. And then we have our social services that are, outside of normal healthcare. So what we're trying to do and is to bring everyone together and collaborate and try to improve and co-design with patients, with our patient family caregiver council, how we can collaborate better to improve that so that patients' experience is better. There's less frequent need for people to share their story, and things flow better.
It's especially important when you're dealing with the elderly population, right? The senior population. It's hard for them to navigate the system when you are dealing with so many healthcare professionals and telling that story over and over again. And yeah, that's good that we're working towards that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can say that I've lived the healthcare system, obviously, as a provider for 20 plus years. But also just 3 years ago had a family tragedy where we ended up I live the system as a caregiver. So even though I had the experience and the knowledge that I had an extremely challenging experience trying to navigate the different levels of care. And so it really made me realize what that's like for those that don't speak English, maybe don't understand that they can advocate for themselves. So I think I'm just very happy to be able to be in this position and to be able to provide something that may, at the end of the day, make things better for others.
That's great. Yeah.
And you also, if I'm understanding correctly, have the children's services. So it's not just our aging population and our seniors. You actually start from the grassroots of infancies and children and providing services, that connection for all, demographic, correct?
Yeah, the idea is that the Ontario Health Team, the collective group of organizations that come together, is meant to serve population from birth to death. So we're looking at providing that full set of services across the board. Now, obviously, in our region, we don't have tertiary level care. So there's always going to be the need for people to go south for very particular types of care. And that's obviously not changeable. But the majority of care that people need to support them through a wellness journey through their life will be the responsibility of the local team.
Nice.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to ask, so do you think that it is the goal for the government for every city/region to have their own designed OHT or?
Yes. So the idea is that every part of the province, every part of the population will be connected to an OHT. By the time that we get to what we call maturity, there will be everybody living in the province will be connected to a team.
So I guess it's really great if say, for example, like Nipissing's creating their own OHT, which would accommodate people in our area, right? Because Northern Ontario is more rural than Southern Ontario. So there's, even though we're all in the same province, there's lots of differentiators, right? So I see this as a positive thing.
Yes, it's great because we don't have any true descriptors that we have to, so they're not, at this point, we are able to decide as a collective group, what is the best way for us to improve services to meet the needs of our population. And nobody's telling us it has to look like X. So that is the really nice part. It's also the very challenging part, because it's hard sometimes to move towards something where you don't really know what the end looks like, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. But it's also, like Lisette had mentioned, a positive, but really exciting.
Yes.
Right. You've talked about, I mean, you personally as a service provider, but also the family caregiver and the patient lens. You've talked about, removing some of those, I don't want to say pillars, but the barriers between the different types of healthcare services and working more collaboratively together. So it's just going to be, hopefully, this really great system change that we all know is needed. And it's going to take a lot of time and effort. And so I don't know how much you can touch on, but we know that this OHT has been in existence for a couple of years now. We know the pandemic has, changed a little bit of how the process is going to work, as it has with all of healthcare. Can you talk a little bit about maybe what has been accomplished to date, or where you see the OHT in maybe the next 2 to 5 years?
Excellent question. So thank you for that, Nikki. So to date, really our group, and I should elaborate that at the present time we have 30 partners, 30 partner organizations that cross the municipalities and social services and traditional health services. So those 30 partners, we've really been working on just helping to build trust, to build an understanding across those different organizations about what each of the organizations are currently working on, what are they looking to achieve, and where can we start to work together. Our first, basically what we've started to do is break out work into projects. So our first project was really to look at how we can improve care for our community dwelling seniors, or older adults. And so what is the current state of care in Nipissing for our community dwelling older adults? Where are there some gaps in care, and what could we then potentially start to do that may improve patient experience and the care trajectory? So that's been our focus over the last 1.5 years, and Nikki's been a wonderful part of that work. So to date, we have a small group of patients that we were looking to launch some services with, actually as of this week. However, with the flare of the pandemic and the inability for us to have people going into these homes, we will need to postpone that a little bit. But we are looking to leverage some digital tools so that we can connect more people through virtual tools, similar to the tools you use at home instead, so that patients can connect to family, can connect to their community-based services, et cetera. So that is happening. Otherwise, we're actually going into, in February, early February, our very first strategic planning session. So we're going to be bringing those 30 partners to the table to understand exactly what Nikki just said. What is it that we hope to achieve in the next 2 years? And we are going to be very short-minded because these OHTs at the present time are only funded annually. We don't have sustained funding. So we're just looking at trying to keep ourselves, we're looking forward, but not so far forward that it seems pointless to do so. So we're looking at the next 2 years, what can we do? What are the needs in the community, and what projects then will we develop to move on to next?
Wow, thank you for that. I'm personally definitely excited to see where this is going to take us and all the connections that, think these 30 organizations that come together on a regular basis are able to make, that might even be making a little bit more system change in our healthcare as we speak, where we're able to talk more and collaborate more than maybe we did prior. So it's really exciting to see, all of the energy that's put into this OHT. And, where we're, in a year from now, if we have you back on Aging in Action, what else can you share, right? What's changed? What's happened?
Yeah.
So it's always great to see system change in whatever capacity that may be, little all the way to really large change. Wendy, I'm keeping an eye on time. I mean, I could talk to you all day. I have lots of questions, but we only have a limited amount of time. So as we're coming to a close with this episode, I want to kind of give you an opportunity, if there's any final thoughts, any kind of last minute information that you want to share with us and our viewers that maybe we didn't touch upon today.
So there is one thing. So one of the accomplishments we had in the last part of last year was that we came up with a communications plan. So as an OHT, how are we going to communicate to different components of the population? And so a part of that plan is that we're going to have a year-long campaign that focuses on the concept of community wellness. So as a part of that campaign, what we're looking to do is each month will be focused on a couple of topics. So within the month, we'll be doing things similar to this to highlight different, whether it's for children, for example, how parents can get resources for ADHD or for other challenges with parenting, or if it's mental health, then how do you access community mental health services and where do you go to get good information? Those kinds of things that will be part of a year-long campaign. And certainly then if there's interest in the community to support that work, please go onto the website and send us a note and let us know. We'd be more than happy to collaborate. Also, I want to just have this opportunity to say that if there are those that are listening that are connected to organizations that may potentially aren't a part of the OHT and they would like to be, then by all means, again, let me know. And at the moment, it's really just about voluntary collaboration. So we're really just looking to expand our network of groups that are really trying to work together to solve a very complicated system level issue.
Yes, for sure. And inclusiveness is so important, right? Yeah. Especially when it comes to getting ideas, moving them forward, and actually taking the time and executing. I mean, this is a lot of time and energy that these 30 organizations are putting forth on a regular basis. And I know all of us want to thank those organizations for their time and their dedication to making that system change. Mm-hmm. And of course, you, Wendy, as well, with your leadership skills and your healthcare background to really lead the organization and move forward with its planning and working groups. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today, learning a little bit more about the Nipissing Wellness OHT. And we want to thank you for helping us and our community age in action.